and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only like 11 people alive of the 200 and something crew, and the entire ship was rotting down to the waterline. That's destiny. That's will. That's striving. That's being a trailblazer, an explorer, going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty. It's incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind talking about Justin Bieber.
Hello out there. We're on the air. Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy Saturday or whatever day you're watching this on. It is an absolutely beautiful day here today. Oh, my goodness. Could you ask for much more than that? I do not think so, personally. So it is Saturday, and I don't usually do streams on Saturdays, but here we are. I figured this would be a good subject today. So welcome to the show, YouTube, Rumble, Noster. We go live every morning. I don't know if you guys and girls know that or not, but we actually do a live show every morning. We did 400 episodes on YouTube, 400 of the Daily Bitcoin Journey before we hit the road and found a new home. So I guess before we go any further here, so yes, we're on all outlets today. I figured why not? Let's bring YouTube in for the chat today. So again, we do Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We do a live stream every morning. Some days they're an hour, some days they're an hour and a half, some days they're 2.5 hours. Who knows? It changes every day. But we talk about a variety of topics, mostly Bitcoin, but privacy stuff, sovereignty stuff, how to survive in the new age, because it's getting pretty crazy out there, in case you didn't know. So let me just get things set up here for the Noster, and then we'll get to her. So it's going to be a little bit different of a show today, I'd say. It's going to be a little bit different. Usually, like I said, the daily shows we do, Saturday show. All right. The daily shows we do, I'm usually pretty active with the chat, bringing up chats, answering questions, all that kind of stuff. But today is going to be more of a shorter show, I guess. Less BS along the way. So we'll wait for maybe wait a couple minutes here just to let people see that we're live, since this is such a random time to be going live. I told my friends we're going live, so we'll see if any of them show up. My digital friends, I should say. My digital neighbors. This isn't working, damn. Oh yeah, I'm going to try a couple more things here, but I'll start with this. How about this? Let's start with, it is Saturday. And I've done a couple Saturday streams before. I kind of like doing it on Saturday. I actually have a nice drink here, a little alcoholic drink to share with you guys and girls. And it's called The Shaft. The Shaft. I posted a video a couple weeks ago with drinking the Shaft. I actually got a little buzz on during the episode that I did. But shout out to Fanny. She seemed to like the Shaft drink. She's been all about it lately. So it's espresso, it's vodka, it's milk, and there's a little bit of it should be a little bit, but I put a little bit more than I should have in there today, of salted caramel Irish cream. So espresso, vodka, milk, and some caramel Irish cream. And ice, of course. And ice. And YouTube's funny. I got some quick early reminders here of why I don't spend too much time on YouTube anymore. I love YouTube. It's great for discovery and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, man. It's different. It's different. We got people calling me out for being late. We got Frank who showed up just to say nope. That's YouTube vibes for me. So anyways, we'll get to her here in a second. I don't want to crap on people. I get it. It's easier. It's more convenient. But you should be taking the hard path these days. You should be taking the hard path every chance you can. And I would consider YouTube to be the easy path. So, anyways, we'll get started here. So it is Saturday. I want to give a shout out to my good friend. Gave a shout out to Fanny already. Let's give a good shout out to our guy, Jerry. Jerry loves freedom. I don't know if you guys and girls have heard of him before or seen him before, but he's been doing live streams as well. He actually gives away Bitcoin every night. The Wheel of Freedom, he calls it. And the reason why I'm bringing up Jerry here is because he has a whole playlist on his channel called Satoshi Saturday. And so it is Saturday today, so we're going to call this one Satoshi Saturday as well. It's called Is Trump Going to End the Fed? And we're going to have a full discussion on this in a couple minutes here. But shout out to Jerry. Big shout out to Jerry. He's got over 100 episodes in here, Satoshi Saturday. And so if you have any friends or family members who are looking to learn a little bit more about Bitcoin, Jerry breaks it down in a very easy to understand way. Him and I both try to do that, I think. And it's not really intentional. It's just because that's how our brain works. We're not very technical guys overall. We speak to humans because we are humans ourselves. So there's Jerry's show, and I'll try to make a list of links I need to leave at the bottom of the show here. But there it is. So Satoshi Saturday, that's where we're going with today. Shout out to our good friend Jerry. So we need a link to Jerry's channel. All right. Who else did I want to give a shout out to? Oh yeah, the new look on the channel here. How about this? Came up with some new designs and new logos. We got a new and improved logo here. It's a little bit better than the one we had before. Look at this. We're live right here. And a new banner in the background. You can kind of see the old horizon there we had looking out into my window here. And we got a nice little radio there. And I dropped the radio too. 88 sats now. We're no longer the radio. We're just 88 sats. So I don't know how many places I shared my 88 sats radio link, which are going to be completely null and void now. But I like the new rebrand here a little bit. It's pretty sharp. So that's the new channel. And what else did I want to give a shout out to? Oh yeah, I was going to say right off the hop. Now we started with Alex Jones there. Little Alex Jones intro. Some people like it, some people hate it. But me, I use it as a screen. I use it as a filter. Because if you're offended by Alex Jones, or if you think that Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist, then you're definitely not going to enjoy the show today. So I figured if I threw that one on right at the start of the show, it would keep out the hooligans. The hooligans there. So that's why we put it on there. I kind of debated, but I figured that's a way to do it. So I guess before we go any further here, you're going to need what you're going to need today for the show. It's going to be about an hour, maybe a little bit more. We'll see how many comments I got back to me for this little theory we got going on today. But be about an hour and a half, maybe. I'm hoping just for over an hour. If you have any questions or comments throughout the show today, just throw it in the chat. But again, it's not going to be like a small subject, then check with the chat like our usual show is. It's going to be, we're going to have a full conversation. And then if there's any good or worthy comments to go through after, we'll do that too. So cheers to you. Cheers to you. I'm going to bring this up. This is going to be kind of our agenda for the day. Kind of got through some shout outs there. So we get some shout outs. We're going to do a little Easter egg hunt because it's almost Easter. I think next weekend's Easter here. And then we're going to look at a document called Time's Up. What the hell does that mean? What could that mean? It's pretty interesting. Interesting document that's going to tie in with the whole thing here. We're going to talk about some questions and some answers if we have. A lot of them don't have answers yet, but maybe someday. But and then we'll get through some chats. So that's kind of the structure for today. So I guess how this whole thing started was that I made a post, and like I said, we did 400 live streams on YouTube starting in 2023. So we did pretty much an episode every day. And along the way there, when you're looking into this kind of stuff every single day, it's at the top of your mind, and you're looking into places that a lot of people don't look into. And so I guess that's kind of where I want to start with this today, is that most people avoid Bitcoin because they have this lingering propaganda in their minds around Bitcoin. And so they don't even really take a second or two to really open their mind to what could be. They've just had so much propaganda and brainwashing against Bitcoin, and not even so much against Bitcoin, but for the fiat dollar, for the US dollar. And that starts at a very early age for us. Most people in elementary school, we start learning about, even in the home, even before elementary school, you got mom and dad fighting over money, talking about this and that. And we're almost like fish born into water. And that's how it feels in a lot of ways. And so for people to have an open mind, you need that before you can start looking into alternatives like gold and land and Bitcoin. So that's kind of where I wanted to start today. Is we're going to be talking about the Federal Reserve. We're going to be talking about Trump and the moves that he's made and the team that he's built around him, and then what could come. So we're kind of at a point right now where everything's fake. And even the show today, I was actually going to do a video of this. I was going to do like a half an hour, 45-minute video of just, recorded video posted on the channel. But I thought, you know what? Let's do it live, because I really think that people out there are looking for live and real and genuine and mistakes and just being human, right? Like, it'd be very easy for me to lay this thing out perfectly for you and edit it and bring in all these fancy graphics and let AI help me with it. But I said, let's just go old school here, because I feel like there's a big need for old school in the current world that we're living in here. So that's kind of the starting point here, is that everything's fake. Everything's built on artificial ground, and it has been for the last 100 and some years. And so I think if you are the capital allocator of your house, you need to start making some decisions. And you need to start looking at things a little bit differently. You have to have an open mind, because the world that we're moving into now is much, much different than the world we're moving out of. And once you can kind of grasp that, then you can start to open your mind. And that's what's going to lead you down a couple different paths here. And so kind of where we are today, I think you got pretty much three options. You have gold, you have land, and I should clarify that, scarce land. And you might say, Jor, what is scarce land? Well, that's like, farmland or nice property, lakefront, oceanfront, scarce land. And of course, Bitcoin. So that's kind of where you need to start. And I think once you can get into that state of mind, and again, that's why I started with the Alex Jones start, because if somebody sees that and they're like, oh, this guy's a dipshit, Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist, that's kind of where I want you to stop anyways, because you're not ready for the conversation that we're going to have today. Again, this has been about 3 years in the making, doing shows every single day. And so just imagine for a second, doing a live stream for an hour and a half or 2 hours every morning for almost 3 years. Just think about how much you would have to look into. Different angles on things, different accounts, different perspective, different all this kind of stuff. I know Bitcoiners think that we live in this bubble, but we really don't, because Bitcoin expands much more than just the financial system. And so along the way here, this is kind of the conclusion that I've come to. And actually, I made a video about this well before Trump got elected, and further back even than when he started talking about Bitcoin. And I don't know where the video is now. I think I wrote an article about it too, but I was connecting all these dots. And I said, again, because at this point, when I published this video or made this article, I forget what it was, but this was at the point where Trump was still calling Bitcoin. He said it seems like a scam. He said he likes the US dollar. And so Bitcoiners just kind of wrote him off as somebody who doesn't want Bitcoin to be around. And I said, no, that's not true at all. I really believe that Trump deep down is a Bitcoiner. And when you look at this now, it's like, yeah, of course. I mean, Eric Trump has a freaking American Bitcoin. They're the 5th largest, I think, Bitcoin holder in the world now. The president's son. So I'd say that's a pretty big Easter egg right there. But I said, Trump's a Bitcoiner. There's no doubt in my mind that he is. And this is months before he came out and started talking about Bitcoin. And then, of course, he spoke at the Bitcoin conference. And then he was elected as president of the United States. And that's where he's been trying to sign these bills into law, in regards to the reserve, in regards to the different acts. And again, here's where I want you to start, is like, don't look at Trump as a good or a bad guy. And I think that if you're able to get past that, because just like people get hung up with Bitcoin, people get hung up with Trump. And people have blinders on against Bitcoin in the sense that no matter what they hear, no matter who it's from, they just won't take more than 5 seconds to open up their mind to see what could be. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who have the same feelings towards Trump. And it's a problem. It really is. Because if you could see what's going on, and if we had any idea what's going on behind the scenes, I think we would think a little bit different of him. Again, I'm not here to convince you he's a good or a bad guy. I'm here to open up your mind to see what could be potentially playing out in front of our eyes here. So that's kind of the starting point here. And I'm not going to try to sell you on anything. I'm not going to try to tell you that my predictions are correct. I'm just going to go through what I've seen, laid out, ask some questions, and then let you decide. And I think that's if the world worked like that, we'd be in a much better spot than we're in right now. Because this whole thing is funded by the fiat dollar. Your education from a very young age was funded by the fiat dollar system. Why? Because the people who control the energy, the oil, and those who control the money, they basically control the whole world. And we've seen that. We've seen that for 100 years. So of course, yes, everybody asks the question, why was I never taught about money in school? But once you understand the system, you know why that is. Because if you understood money and the system, then the system would end probably the next day. And so they did a very good job of keeping this whole thing under wraps in the dark for a while. And I think the one thing that Trump's done more than anything else in his political career and his business career is he's really woken up the world. Because before Trump took office in 2016, nobody knew about anything. I mean, there was a very small niche group of people who knew about this stuff, but they were considered to be crazy people, conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat people. And what we're starting to see now is that those people actually weren't that crazy. And so I'm just going to warn you here before we proceed with the presentation we'll call it today. You have to have an open mind. You can't just say Trump's a good guy or Trump's a bad guy. You have to look at things that have happened and what potentially could happen. So that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to ask some questions. We're going to point some things out. We're going to ask some questions, and then we're all going to decide on our own, is that possible? So that's the question. Is Trump going to end the Fed? And I guess that's been my overlying prediction for a while now. So again, I correctly predicted that Trump was a Bitcoiner months before he started talking about Bitcoin. And if you don't believe me, I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. But it happened. So the prediction that I'm going to make now on the internet, March 28th, 2026, I'm predicting that the US will have a new dollar. But I'm going to say by the end of the year, because I mean, I could say new dollar at some point, but I'm going to say by the end of the year. That's more of an aggressive approach. And the reason I say that is because it's the 250th anniversary of the US this year. And so I feel like it'd be pretty appropriate, especially with the things that have happened in the last couple of days here, which kind of compelled me to make this video today. So that's my prediction. And when you see that, you're like, that's stupid. Why would we have another dollar? The dollar we have is broken. Well, you have to understand what a dollar is first. Like there's a difference between the dollar that we have today, which is somewhere here, a Federal Reserve note, a FERN, a Federal Reserve note. So this is literally just a piece of paper. That's what it is. It's a Federal Reserve note. It's legal tender for all debts, public and private. So this version of the dollar is completely fake. But that doesn't mean that all dollars are fake. Because if the US came out and said that, hey, we got a new dollar here, it's backed by blank. It's backed by gold. It's backed by silver. It's backed by Bitcoin. That would be a different version than this. Again, this is just a promise. This is a promise from the US government that they will hold up their end of the deal. And they haven't. If you look at the chart, I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, but you've seen the purchasing power of the US dollar go down and down and over time. And it's pretty much lost, I think it's like 99.9 something percent of its purchasing power, but I think that this is actually more accurate when you look at it compared to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin let's go USD and Bitcoin. How about that? Because when you see this, you'll see what I'm talking about here in the sense that it is already dead. Look at this. I'm not making this stuff up. This is in the 17 years that Bitcoin has been around. It has lost 100% of its purchasing power against Bitcoin. Nobody sees this. Nobody talks about this. But this is reality. This is a simple Google search. You can do yourself right now. Just type in USD and Bitcoin. And you can see that not only in the last couple of years, but since like 2012, it went to zero pretty much against Bitcoin. So that's what this is. And that's what Bitcoin is. It's a new way to measure the world. It's a measuring stick. And part of being a good money is being a unit of account. And that's what Bitcoin is. And it did a pretty good job measuring the US dollar here. And it is down 100% all time. You can't argue that. That's objective right there. It's staring you right in the face. And so that version of the dollar has gone to zero against Bitcoin. It's down 100%, not 99.9%. It's down 100% in the last 17 years. I mean, if you looked at this chart and you said, you know what? Bitcoin's fake. Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin's printed and made out of thin air. There's nothing backing it. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm hoping that you're not watching this video because you're not going to like this one very much today. So that's where we are today. And so what I'm trying to say here is that there's a difference between the fiat dollar and potentially a different kind of dollar. And so my prediction for a while now has been that the US will have a new dollar by the end of the year, the Treasury dollar, because it's the 250th anniversary of the United States this year. So let's look at some, maybe just going off of that real quick here. I'm going to show you something that happened this week that not a lot of people saw. Not a lot of people at all saw this. Where are we? I got to bring up my mail here. And again, this is kind of what made me do this video today, is just because I feel like this is such big news that nobody even really cared about. And it falls right in line with the theories I have here. So where is this? It's right here. Right here. Oh, I had most of this stuff ready to go. But if you've ever watched my show before, you know how it is. Okay, so right here. 2.3 million people saw this, and it's hilarious to... I actually wanted to do a video of reading through the comments here because it just perfectly sums up where we are in the world right now. It's like this, something so massive happens and everyone's like, oh, Trump, of course he wanted to put his signature. He's trying to get his signature on everything in the world. Or Trump, oh, of course Israel made him do it, or whatever it was. It's just all bullshit, negative comments in the feed. And I know one day we're going to look back, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video today, because I think that they're so far out to lunch. And the crazy thing is they're so cocky about it too. And so here it is. This is the new US dollars, or sorry, I should say US dollars to be printed with President Trump signature, removing Janet Yellen's signature, or the treasurer signature, for the first time. For the first time. Do you think that that's a little thing? Again, the US dollar basically makes the whole world go round. Like, it really does. And this guy just woke up one day and decided that he wants to put his signature on there instead of the treasurer. I don't know. So my theory here is that this is kind of the first step. It's like, whether it's Trump or any other government in the world, I think that the US does it better than anybody else. But you have to understand how they do things. They can't just come out and tell you exactly what's going on with the war, and they can't tell you what they're going to do next. That defeats the whole purpose of a war. And in case you didn't know this, there's a big difference between the war that's happening right now and the war that happened in 1914, where there were still horses and buggies involved in that war. Like, it's a little bit different now. We're in a different time in history. And so what this war is, it's a different kind of war. It's information. And it's funny because I've been reading a lot of Napoleon Hill lately. And he made the point back in the First World War that the greatest weapon that was used in that war was propaganda. 100 years ago, the weapon that Napoleon said was the most powerful weapon in that war was propaganda. So do you think that they've changed it all in the 100 years, or do you think they became way more effective with their propaganda? So again, kind of what I want to, the overlying theme here is that just don't trust anything that you see. X has no idea what's going on. CNN has no idea what's going on. Trump's team isn't going to tell you what's going on. Iran's not going to tell you what's going on. Nobody's going to tell you what's going on. And I think you're very naive if you believe otherwise. Why would they? It's a war. I mean, this guy wrote the book called The Art of the Deal, which is based on the book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. So I think he's kind of familiar with these approaches. And I want to say that too. I don't think that any decisions or moves that have been made by the US government in Trump's first term or second term have been thought up by Trump. I think that Trump's just kind of a guy. Trump's like the figurehead here. And I think most people believe that, except they don't really know who's pulling the strings on top of Trump. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. And you hear things like 4D chess and 5D chess and all these things. And I actually think that that's happening because sorry, I need to watch my tone here. It's a military operation. And if you think that the US military messes around with anything, of course they're 10 steps ahead of Venezuela and of Iran and all these different countries. Of course. Do I think that Trump's thinking up this stuff? No. Trump's the guy who comes out and causes absolute chaos so nobody knows what the hell is going on. That's his main role. And I would argue that his other role is to actually wake people up. And so whatever we talk about today, I want you to keep that in mind, that I'm not telling you that Trump's going to save the US or do whatever a lot of people are kind of counting on him to do. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that Trump's main role here is to let people know how broken the system is and to take full personal responsibility for themselves. And Bitcoin is the best tool for that. Think back. How many things did we know before 2015? How many of these things did we know? Whether it was the central banks, the media, the fake news, Hollywood, Hollyweird, the music industry, big pharma, elections, all this stuff. Nobody knew any of this stuff before this guy got into office. So again, I don't think he's a mastermind. I think he's a pretty smart guy, obviously, to build what he's built. But he's not the mastermind here. He's the agent of chaos. That's how I see Trump. He's the agent of chaos. And he's been a pretty damn good, he's fit that role pretty damn well. A little bit divisive, I think, for some things. But again, the point here isn't to save anybody. The point here is to wake people up and let them make decisions for themselves. What was the other one he was talking about? I mean, he's been talking about replacing income tax with tariffs. And I think it's going to be much more than that at some point in the future. It's not just going to be tariffs. I think it's going to be Bitcoin mining, a big part of that. And I mean, we might as well talk about that quickly right now, because if you think about how this system has functioned before, right? If you think about how this system survived 100 years, it did so by lying, through propaganda, through human resource, using people like human resources. That's what that whole industry is called, human resources. That's pretty much just a way to say, hey, we're going to operate this very fat, bloated government on top of the backs of the citizens. They're going to go to work every day, and we're going to extract all the value that they create. That's what the system's been. And now, though, the cool thing about Bitcoin and how it ties into all this whole thing is that we don't really need that anymore. And if you haven't noticed, as of late, there's a lot of technology and AI that are replacing humans. And so how's the government going to continue its control? It's abstract control. If nobody is earning money and nobody's paying taxes, how does the government system continue? I don't know. My theory is that it's going to switch to natural resources. Natural resources, because Bitcoin mining actually allows you to convert natural resources, whether it's a waterfall, whether it's a volcano, whether it's wind, solar, nuclear. It allows you to convert natural. I guess nuclear isn't a natural resource, but you know what I mean. Hydropower, flared gas, all this stuff. You can actually convert that directly into money now. You can capture those natural resources and you can convert it into money. And I don't think it's a coincidence that before Trump even got into office, he was having conversations with Riot, CleanSpark, and all these different Bitcoin mining companies. Because, and here's the thing, is that when Trump got elected, everybody was kind of expecting him to just start buying Bitcoin, start taking the US's main product that they have, their US dollar, and start buying Bitcoin with that. Do you know what would have happened if the US just started buying Bitcoin? Like trading their dollars, their main product that they export and sell to everybody for Bitcoin, the US dollar would have collapsed overnight. So again, think about this stuff logically, not what you want or what your opinion of Trump is. Think about this stuff logically. And so what would make a lot more sense than that? Well, I would say that the biggest asset that the US government has is natural resources, is land. And so instead of trading the dollars for Bitcoin, which would make a lot of sense, it really would. If they were that desperate, I think that that's what they would do. But I think the second that they did that, or the day they did that, that would be the end of the US fiat dollar. Because that would be them signaling to the world that we don't want our dollars anymore. We want Bitcoin instead. So what I think that they've done and are continuing to do is have these different partnerships with these Bitcoin mining companies. And the US might say, hey, Riot, you can use this land that we have the rights to. You just got to give us a little bit of Bitcoin. For every Bitcoin that you mine, we get a little chunk of it. Wouldn't that be a much more sustainable way to do it? And actually build up your balance sheet with Bitcoin. And then when you were ready to release this new dollar, it would be backed by Bitcoin. And so that's what makes the most sense to me, is that they're forming these partnerships. Again, we're not going to know anything here. Between you and me, average people, we're not going to know anything. We're just kind of left out in the dark and have to guess about what the hell's going on. And I would say that there's probably about 10 people on this whole planet who actually know what's going on. So I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I know what's going on. This is just kind of my theory based on what I've seen before. And so with that in mind, wouldn't it make sense if the US realized that they owe $39 trillion to the Federal Reserve? And so they're trying to look for ways out of that. Like, okay, that's just a completely made up number. Like let's just acknowledge that first. $39 trillion. It would take probably 5 million years to pay that off, even if there was no interest on it. But I shouldn't say that. It would take less if there wasn't interest on it, but there is interest on it. So let's just acknowledge the fact that number that we all look at every day, or a lot of people do, it's not real. Right? Like, it's not real. So if you're trying to figure out a way to get out of that, what would you do? You'd say, okay, well, we're just going to come out with a new dollar. And that's my theory here, is that they're going to come out with a US Treasury dollar, different than the Federal Reserve note. And that US Treasury dollar, if you were to back it with something, would you maybe put it with gold or silver or Bitcoin or a combination of them? And that's what we're going to be looking at right away here. But in my mind, anyways, and I want to say this too, because this is kind of an important part of it. And a lot of people, I think, would agree with me on this, which is the war that's happening right now. It isn't Iran versus the US. It isn't Russia versus Ukraine. It isn't the US or anybody versus anybody. This is what's happening here. And again, Simon Dixon has been talking about this, and people actually seem to subscribe to this theory. So that's why I kind of want to run with this one today. It's globalists versus nationalists, or central bankers versus, what would you call them? I mean, there's part of this too. I could honestly spend 3 freaking hours talking about this today, but we got to be careful. I see some chats here. This isn't pre-recorded. We're doing this live, folks. Utopians. Utope? Oh, God, that's why. We'll blame it on the shaft. Cheers. So I think most people watching this would agree with that's what's happening right now. It's a war, the globalists versus the nationalists, the central bankers versus blank, whatever you want to call them. And so who's on this camp? Techno-capitalists. That's a good way to put it. Techno-capitalists. I'd say that that's fair. But who's on this side? This is like London, the UK. I would say that Israel's part of that. Kind of they've been in the shadows for a while, but they're they're the ones in the shadows. Certain ones. And again, I'm not here to like say race versus race or anything like that, because there's good people everywhere. There's good people in the US government. There's good people in the Canadian government. Every entity is just made up of people. So when I say this stuff, it's not me being racist or anything like that. I hope you know that. So that's kind of the war that's happening right now. And so this is, again, London, the bankers, and this would be like Trump, Putin, the people who want their country to do well. And so if you were to come out with this US Treasury dollar or a new dollar backed by something, would you use gold? Think about who has all the gold right now. Think about who has the gold right now. I mean, Russia's got a ton. China's got a ton. India's got a ton. But the biggest holder of gold is this side right here. And that's what you need to understand about this, is that the central banks are the largest holders of gold by far. It's not even close, actually. And so if the US was going to come out with this US Treasury dollar and kind of sneakily go around the Federal Reserve, which we're going to talk about why they even have to go sneakily. But anyways, why would you back the dollar with their greatest asset? Central banks, that's who has all the gold. And these other countries like the Chinas and the US and the Russias. So it wouldn't really make sense for the American government to back their new currency with gold. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of gold bugs are really holding on to that theory, but it just wouldn't make any sense from a game theory perspective. It wouldn't make any sort of sense. And so you might say silver. Well, maybe, but other countries like the country below the US, Mexico, they're actually the largest. They have the largest silver deposits, if I'm not mistaken, more than the US even. So if you had a currency that's backed by that silver, I mean, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there too. So what's the option then? What's the answers? To me, it's Bitcoin. And again, there's a reason why all these different things are happening. So we're going to start looking at some Easter eggs here in a second. Some Easter eggs right here. So let's just run through a couple of these here quickly. And I'm sure as I'm talking through this, there's going to be more that come into play. But I mean, you got the... Okay. So the first thing here, these are Easter eggs. And again, next weekend is Easter. And so I figured it'd be a little Easter egg hunt we could go on here. But again, kind of going off of that theory that I've been going through here, is that nobody's going to come out and straight up tell you what is going on, ever. It's just not the reality of how the world works, right? And so what you need to do is you need to keep an open mind. You need to do your best for yourself and your family to try to connect some of these dots. And I see Abe says, I think Trump already made a deal with China. That's kind of my theory too. And again, CNN's never going to tell you that. You're never going to read that on Twitter. Nobody in the mainstream would ever be talking about this kind of stuff. But anyways, the first, I think it was on the third day that Trump took office in 2000 or whenever it was, his first term. He had a guy hanging right over his shoulder. I think it was his left shoulder. And that guy, so it was prominent in every picture. It's not like it was, leaving the White House or leaving his office. It was right behind his head. And that picture was Andrew Jackson. And who's Andrew Jackson? I mean, again, I'm going to tell you some things today. I'm going to share some things, but you need to do a little bit of research on your own if you're kind of interested in this kind of stuff. But Andrew Jackson was the last US president that took down a central bank. Andrew Jackson was the last US president to successfully take down a central bank. We've had people try too in the past. We've had people try, and I should make note of that too, because we had Henry Ford, although he wasn't president, he knew the risks of having a currency backed by gold. And we also had our guy, John F. Kennedy. Both these guys tried to, I guess Henry Ford didn't technically, but he kind of did. But JFK tried to take out the central banks with his silver dollar. And that was the last attempt. So Trump puts Andrew Jackson right behind his head in the Oval Office. I would say that's an Easter egg, a pretty big one, actually. General Flynn. General Flynn put out a post, or he tweeted this back in 2015, over 10 years ago. He made a post of a Bitcoin ATM. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with General Flynn, he's kind of been Trump's like number one guy for as long as Trump's been the president. So General Flynn, I would consider to be Trump's number one compadre. And he was tweeting about Bitcoin back in 2015. This is kind of like the biggest Easter egg that I was able to find. And what made me believe that Trump was actually deep down a Bitcoiner. But you can find it. I'm pretty sure it's still up on Twitter. 2015, he called it economic destiny, I believe. He said, Bitcoin is economic destiny in a tweet. And it was a picture of a Bitcoin ATM. Melania, she actually made a post. This was long before Trump came out and talked about Bitcoin too. But she made a post on Twitter, I believe it was, or Truth, one of the two, wishing Satoshi a happy birthday. A happy birthday. And then you had Brian Brooks, who was the comptroller of the currency, I believe, while Trump was in first term. And if you Google Brian Brooks, he's a Bitcoiner. So that's who Trump chose in his very first term to be his, I think it was comptroller of the currency, a Bitcoiner. Brian Brooks spoke at the Bitcoin conference. You can look it up. Another pretty big Easter egg here is the team that Trump surrounded himself with. They all came out, like not real quietly, they all came out advocating for Bitcoin along the way. Every single person that's directly surrounding Trump, they've all came out and have talked about Bitcoin in a very positive way. Trump's also done a really good job of differentiating between Bitcoin and crypto. He doesn't just say Bitcoin. He doesn't just say crypto. He specifically separates them when he's talking about this stuff. So Trump's team is all Bitcoiners, all of them. And again, I think that Trump's main role in this whole equation or war or whatever you want to call it that's been going on for a very long time now is to wake people up. And again, what's the number one tool? Once people wake up and they want to take sovereignty and they want to start taking agency over their own life, what's the number one tool? I don't think that any of this would have worked without Bitcoin. Even if Trump was the master of chaos and he woke everybody up, if we didn't have Bitcoin to use as a tool, none of it would matter. None of it would matter. Trump's kid, Eric, he's got a company called American Bitcoin. And they've been able to stack how much? How much is American Bitcoin stacked in the last year? I'm pretty sure it's a lot. Let's double check on that. I'm actually curious myself. I don't know if they're fourth or fifth or sixth. BitcoinTreasuries.net. They are, they're down further. Sorry. They're 16th. So, I mean, look at this. You got 16th place is American Bitcoin Corp. That's Eric's company. They got just under 7,000 Bitcoin. And then you got Trump Media and Technology. They have 9,500 Bitcoin. I didn't even know that. And you got Tesla, who ties in with this whole story as well. Tesla actually still has 11,509 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And this was one of the companies that Trump met with before taking office. Riot was one of the companies Trump met with before taking office. And I don't know if you guys and girls saw this, but Eric Trump actually, at one of his presentations he was doing, he said that the Trumps have known Saylor for 20 years. Camille, this is not a rerun, my friend. I don't know why people keep saying that. I guess because I'm ignoring the chat a little bit more than usual today. because there's a lot to get through here. So, I mean, how could you not look at that and say that there's maybe something else going on here? And again, Trump is a nationalist. He is not a big fan of the globalists. I don't think many people would disagree with me there. And so if you're trying to go around that globalist system, the fiat dollar, London, the oil controls that they've had through the years, what would you do? I mean, you could go to war, or you could just buy Bitcoin. And maybe there's more to it than we think. So I just showed you Tesla there. Did you guys and girls, I know some people who watch my show every day know this, but did you know that John Trump, Trump's uncle, actually got all of Nikolai Tesla's documents when Tesla died? John Trump got access to all of those. You can look it up. Google it. Who got Tesla's documents after he passed away? It was Uncle John, Trump's Uncle John. And he actually gave him a shout out. He talked about his Uncle John for a couple minutes at the Bitcoin conference. You can go back and listen to that if you want to as well. So you got Tesla, you got John Trump, you got energy, you got frequencies, you got vibrations, you got Saylor talking about this stuff, you got Tesla buying Bitcoin, you got a company named after this guy that Elon's part of. Elon's grandpa was a tech utopian himself, which we just learned last week, or I just learned last week. And then you got a little thing called the Space Force, which a lot of people just kind of wrote off because Trump came up with this. So of course it's stupid. And there was something pretty big that happened in the last couple weeks here, where you had the software book by Jason Lowery, and you had Trump's document. I think it was called cyber strategy, something like that. But Trump's team came up with this cyber strategy, and it was very similar to Jason Lowery's book, Software Thesis. It's pretty similar. Actually, maybe we'll take a look at that in a second, because I think that's a pretty big one. And the other part of this too is if we actually take a look at the hash rate. So let's look at a couple different things here. Let's ask AI when the Space Force was created. So this is the mempool here. This is the Bitcoin mainnet. This is how you see all the transactions that have ever happened, dating back to block 0, the Genesis block on January 3rd, 2009. But if you click this little axe up here, you can see the hash rate, or the total energy going into the Bitcoin network. And then you can see the over time here. And that's what it looks like now. That's the most bullish chart in Bitcoin. Even more bullish than the price of Bitcoin. So when was Space Force created? I think it was June 2019. Sorry, December 2019. So December 2019. Right about here. This is when the Space Force was created. So look what happened after the Space Force was created. And again, this is the total energy going into the network. You could call that a coincidence, maybe. Maybe it is. But we're pretty much flatlined for the first 10 years of Bitcoin. And then all of a sudden the Space Force is created, and the US military, who actually, Jason Lowery was one of their, I don't know what he was, lieutenant maybe. But there's something going on with that, the Space Force. And even in the last couple of days here, I'm going to bring up a couple videos here. But what was I doing with AI before that? What was my plan? What were we talking about? Okay, let's bring this down for a sec. Let's take a look at this, because again, the thesis around soft war and the thesis and the cyber strategy is that Bitcoin is not only just a money, but it's absolutely necessary for governments, for power. And what's Trump been talking about for the last 2 years? He said, we need more energy. We want more energy. We need to make more energy. Why? I think he just wants more energy for all the Teslas that he doesn't drive, or do you think that there's something going on there? So if we go to sent, okay, right here. Let's listen to this. This is actually from today, I believe, or yesterday. Let's bring this down for a second. So this video is, I believe, was from today. Oh, Major, you're right. Sorry, Brett. Major. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know military positions. But yeah, Lowry was a major in the Space Force, and he wrote a book about Bitcoin that actually got banned called Software. So this is what Trump had to say about Bitcoin. I believe this was today.
Bitcoin's very powerful. It's all becoming powerful. So many people now, they want to pay you in crypto. They want to pay you in Bitcoin. And we have to be at the top of it. Bitcoin's very powerful. It's all becoming powerful. So many people now, they want to pay you in crypto. They want to pay you in Bitcoin. And we have to be at the top of it.
Okay, so there was that one, and then there was this one as well. I don't know if this is the same one, though, or not. Oh, here we go. Let's try this one. So he also said, this is a little shorter clip, but he said, the U.S. will be the undisputed Bitcoin superpower of the world.
We're going to be the undisputed crypto capital and Bitcoin superpower of the world. Bitcoin's very powerful.
So that's kind of what I was just talking about there. Like he goes out of his way to differentiate Bitcoin and crypto. Again, I don't think you can argue with me there. You can say he might not understand the two, and I would disagree with you there, but he definitely goes out of his way every time he talks about it to differentiate crypto and Bitcoin. And honestly, to me, crypto, the altcoins, the shit coins, that's been Bitcoin's biggest anchor. That's what's been keeping Bitcoin out of the average people owning it, because they've just seen scam after scam after scam after scam in the crypto industry, and they don't know enough. So they still tie Bitcoin in with crypto. And so I actually think it's really good what Trump's doing here in terms of separating Bitcoin and crypto every time he talks about it. But he was talking about how powerful it is. He was talking about being the undisputed, what was it? Undisputed. I was going to say undisputed champion of the world. I was thinking wrestling there. Okay, how do I get out of this here? They want to pay with their Bitcoin. They want to pay with their crypto. So he said undisputed Bitcoin superpower. Why would he say that? And I know there's going to be people. And again, that's why I did my best to filter out right off the start the people with Trump derangement syndrome. But why would he say they want to be the undisputed superpower of Bitcoin? Why? So anyways, my whole theory here is that they're going to have a, now I get a frick. I want to bring this up. Let's maybe start with this first. Let's go here. usdebtclock.org. So this is a pretty interesting website here. This is a pretty interesting website. And again, I want you to go through this whole thing with an open mind. That's all I ask of you, is to go through this whole thing with an open mind. So this is usdebtclock.org, and it gives you all these different figures about how much national debt there is, about all this stuff. It looks pretty bad. Looks pretty bad. But there's this little thing over here on the side. It says secret window. A new form of money payable to the bearer on demand. And I visit this website pretty regularly, I would say. And there's always some interesting when we speak about Easter eggs. Like, first of all, you have to think about this before we open it up here, because I got a document that I want to share with you, and we're going to go through it fairly fast because there's a lot in it. But I just want to ask you this: like, who would go through the time? Who would take the time? Which random person out there or random entity would go through the time and the trouble to set up this website called usdebtclock.org? Do you think it's just a guy in his basement who just has too much time on his hands and he wants to come up with all these different measurements and come up with all these different ideas and go through the full history, which we're going to look at here in a second? Or could it potentially be something different? Again, if your job was to wake up the people if that was your sole mission, was to wake people up, this would be a pretty good way to look at it. And there's a lot of people that refer to this. Bitcoiners refer to this all the time. When people see this stuff, they're like, holy shit, that's what our money is. I was born and I have, how do I get out of this? Close. Oh yeah, let's go back here. I was born with, what is it here? $200,000 in debt. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Right here, debt per citizen, debt per taxpayer. $350,000 you're born with debt. Good luck. To who? And that's what you got to ask yourself too, is like, to who? To who? And again, it goes back to this. It's the Federal Reserve note. That's who you owe it to. You didn't sign up for it. You didn't vote for it. You didn't have anything to do with it. And that's a problem. So when we look at this, okay, let's bring this up instead over here. I don't even know what my screen sharing. Okay, so this was this is something they came out with a little while ago here. So again, this is the US debt clock.org. Me personally, I don't believe that it's just some random person who has a lot of time on their hands and put something like this together. So this is the golden age, and you've heard that term before quite a bit. And so if we zoom in on this a little bit here, we can look at this, and you can see here that it's called the dividend dollar, 100% reserve, 100% reserve, 3% value increase per year. The U.S. Treasury dividend dollar. And kind of what I mentioned right off the hop here is that people hear dollars and they're like, oh, dollars are fake. No, that's not how it is. This dollar is fake. This version of the dollar is fake. Because it's backed by nothing. It's backed by promises of the Federal Reserve. And that's worth shit. That ain't worth shit. So that's what this dollar is. But this isn't all dollars. Like you could have a dollar that's actually backed by something, and that's what this is. And you can actually see the different commodities here. It looks like gold, copper, looks like natural gas, stocks. I don't know what the hell that is. Energy, AI, robots. I don't know what that is. Looks like a Tonka truck. But look at this. This one is interesting to me because you don't see Bitcoin anywhere here. You don't see crypto or Bitcoin or anything on here. But what's that? Corn. Corn. So does the U.S. government think that corn's more important than AI and robotics? You got oil on there and you got silver. So that's the new dividend dollar. And again, I don't know who made this. I have no idea. And you can look it up. I even asked a couple different AIs and said, who created this website? And nobody has an answer to it, of course. I don't know why I even wasted my time asking. But the reason why I wanted to make this video today is, again, just to open up your mind to say, hey, maybe there is a different direction that we can take here. Maybe there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we really have no idea about, that CNN's not telling us, that Fox News isn't telling us, that Twitter isn't telling us. Maybe there's something else, bigger picture going on here. And right now, their job is just to wake people up to everything that's been happening here. And I'm trying my best to kind of keep things on the rails here between the lines in terms of the conspiracy mind that I have. But again, what I'm asking you today is just to keep an open mind. So the new money revolution, the USA Treasury dividend dollar. Again, this is 44 slides. 44 slides. And so it kind of goes through the whole thing here. And again, I'm going to skip some of this stuff because there's a lot in here. But I wanted to show this one. So this is the very first page in this document here. And it says, the den of thieves. And the quote right at the top, it says, and Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple and overthrew the tables of the money changers. So it says money changers. Interesting. The only time Jesus showed any kind of aggression or physical display of anger in his entire ministry. Has the Lord withdrew his disdain for cheating people out of their money through trickery? No. And then the last part here, it says, today we are witnessing a money-changing crime of monumental proportions. Every day, our labor and life energy is being stolen from us by a system that was designed to transfer the wealth of all the working people to a small elite class of money overlords, whose only desire is power and control with nothing to offer but misery and bondage. The Federal Reserve Sanctuarium. That's the first page in this little book here. I don't know. Again, I'm not here to tell you if this theory is correct or wrong, or these guys are good or bad. That's not the point here. I'm just showing you information and asking you to keep an open mind through this whole thing. So then it goes kind of through the history here. The first encrypted ledger, the honest money reinvented, the Bank of England, debt as money, war makes debt. Again, I would challenge you here and go take some time and read through this. There's some really interesting information in here. So this is from 1690, Massachusetts, the first colonial paper money. And again, paper money is not bad if it's actually backed by something. It's not bad. It's actually a good way. Instead of having to carry around gold and pay people and shave off gold, paper's better. But the problem is the paper we have now isn't backed by anything. And the money we have isn't even paper anymore. The money that we have is all digital. It costs $0 to produce it. $0. At least with paper, at least with this thing, they had to grow a tree and cut it down and turn it into this. It at least had some sort of cost to it. But what we have now is a digital dollar, and it's worth literally nothing. So the Currency Act of 1764, the British law that banned the issuance of paper money in the American colonies and required the withdrawal of existing paper money. Benjamin Franklin in 1793, the colonies would gladly have borne the little tax on tea and other matters had it not been that England took away from the colonies their money, which created unemployment and dissatisfaction. The inability of the colonists to get power to issue their own paper or their own money permanently out of the hands of George III and the international bankers was the prime reason for the Revolutionary War. Again, these guys knew this shit. They knew this before we had, before we know what we know now. And what really blows my mind is how it's been over 100 years and we've let these people control the world. That's what bothers me the most, is that they've been able to get away with it this long. And so Benjamin Franklin knew, Henry Ford knew, Thomas Jefferson knew. All these guys knew the problem with giving any individual the ability to create money and what kind of destruction that causes on society. Okay, so these are the different failed fiat currencies. So you can see Germany, China, Argentina, Russia, Zimbabwe, and Venezuela. So at some point in the Venezuelan history, you could actually get $1 with 4 bolivars. I don't know how to say that. The Venezuelan dollar. Boliviers? I don't know. But you could get 4 of them for $1. Now, to get $1, you need 3 million of them. That's a failed currency. Zimbabwe. You used to be able to buy $1 with 24 Zimbabwe dollars. Now it takes 10 billion. That's a failed fiat currency. So it says history is littered with empires that have collapsed for many reasons, but one of the surest ways to destroy a society is to debase its currency. I don't think that's debase, but we'll say debase. The Federal Reserve dollar has lost 97% of its value since the introduction in 1913. The new U.S. dividend dollar is a revolution in wealth preservation. So for anybody who might just be joining us now, again, I didn't put this presentation together. This is available online at usdebtclock.org, or it was. I think they took it down now. But there's another one I saw there, a new version of it. So the greenbacks, the crime of 1873, and it's funny they got a node to the Wizard of Oz, which is actually I didn't know this when I watched it for the first couple times, but it's actually about the money and hiding things behind the curtain and the yellow brick road and silver. Silver's a big part of that too. So this is the whole thing here, and it says the time's up. Time's up, Fed. Banking cartel. That's what they are. Expired. The Fed is expired. The time is up. Federal Reserve System was established in 1913 as a masterclass financial scheme. An enigma so diabolical and obscure that for over 100 years it has foiled any attempt to decipher its dastardly code of destruction. So they're criminals. They're not federal. These founding fathers of deception knew that their plan was the perfect formula to deceive and compromise the politicians of the day, to turn over the keys to the magic kingdom of wealth creation. That's what they've done. That's what they've done for 100 years. They sent people like you and me to work every day, and we had to pay them taxes so they can do whatever the hell they want and basically just extract wealth from people. So that only lasts so long, right? Because that's not natural. That's not how things are supposed to be. It's not nature. And nature always wins. And so what's the real version of that? You go to work, you add value, and you get value in return. That's nature. You go to work, you receive value for the work that you do, and you need a place to store that value. Nobody else extracts any from you along the way. That's what the money changers, as they refer to it here, have done for 100 years now. They've added no value to the world. They've only extracted value. And at some point that ends, and it's over now. It says time's up. They have no reserves. The plan was to create a Ponzi scheme at the highest level. It's funny that people call Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme. We've lived in a system for 100 years, which has been the biggest Ponzi scheme in human history before. The plan was to create a Ponzi scheme at the highest level, a never-ending cycle of debt and interest to trap the American people into a life of servitude. To take from the government its sacred duty to coin money and regulate the value thereof. So more and more about how bad the money is. The gold confiscation, everybody knows 1971, but the real crime happened in 1933 when the government confiscated the gold and made it illegal for citizens to own gold privately. I think you could own a couple ounces, which is worth like $100 at the time. But they took away the ability for the average person, citizens, to own real money. So again, everybody knows 1971, but this is where everything went to real shit, because this basically forced people to hold their paper currency, to use their paper currency, the fiat dollar. So there it is right there. The purchasing power, this is what I was talking about before. You got the gold seizure, you got the Bretton Woods Agreement, and you got 1971. So we all know 1971, but look it was well on its way down there. It was actually on its way back up, 1933. The purchasing power of the dollar was actually on its way back up in 1933. And then 1944, Bretton Woods. And then, again, we as Bitcoiners, we all know the 1971, when the gold standard was abandoned. But this is where it really started to take a downturn here. 1933. And it's funny because there's a couple things in Bitcoin. There's a couple different things in Bitcoin. And actually, let's bring this up right now. See if I can do this. Because I asked Perplexity this last weekend. When was Satoshi's birthday? So it's pretty interesting. First of all, one thing that I didn't know was that January 3rd, 2009, that's when the very first Bitcoin was mined. That was on a Saturday. I didn't know that. Saturday for Satoshi. But it says the Satoshi Nakamoto's stated birthday is April 5th, 1975. It's worth noting this is a birth date his publicly listed, not a verified real-world identity or confirmed birthday. So why is it significant in Bitcoin terms? So it says April 5th, 1975 is significant because it matches the anniversary of Executive Order 6102. I'm sure you've all heard about that one. In 1933, when the U.S. banned private gold ownership, which many Bitcoiner supporters see as symbolically tied to Bitcoin's digital gold ethos. So that's what Satoshi put as his birthday, April 5th. And it is the anniversary of the 6102, where the U.S. government made it illegal for citizens to own gold. So back to the document here. And then, of course, the money supply here, the M2. Look how much money they printed from 1913 to 1960. Not that much. You see that right there? I know it's kind of hard to see here. I apologize for that. But you can see here that it's not that much, especially in comparison. And then this is 2000. And then, of course, we went completely off the rails in the pandemic there. So that's where we are today. That's what we're dealing with. And again, I go back to it. It's like we owe $39 trillion, or the US owes $39 trillion. To who? Think about that. To who? Well, the central banks, the Federal Reserves. And then you think, okay, what actual power do they have other than tricking people and lying to people and just straight up propaganda through the education systems, through the media channels? What real power does the Federal Reserve have? Could the Federal Reserve go to war against any other country? Do they have tanks? Do they have B-2 bombers? Do they have guns? They might have some guns, but I'm pretty sure the Canadian government could take down the Federal Reserve. What do they have? What do they have? And so I don't think it's out of question to say that, hey, the US government with the military, with all the land and reserves and Bitcoin that they have, they can just come out and say, hey, we owe you $39 trillion. Cool. Come collect it. Nobody really just thinks about it that way. You know what I mean? And they've been very good at instilling politicians through the years to make sure that they do their bidding for them, and installing people in these different government positions and media positions. They've done a damn good job of it. Like, impressive. For 100 years for them to keep this illusion up, very impressive. I'm not going to lie, but it's done. And again, going back to the very beginning of the show here today, what was the job? It's the agent of chaos, to wake people up, to show people, because you can't just put on a movie or a presentation and say, here, this is what's been going on. People actually have to feel it. They have to feel how bad things are. They have to feel how disgusting these politicians are, and these Hollywood people, and whoever. You actually have to feel it. When you can't afford to feed your kid, you feel that. When you lose your house because you lost your job and now you can't pay your mortgage, you feel that. And you start asking questions. And so my whole thing here is that nobody's coming to save anybody. And I think that that's the biggest lie that people have kind of gone through in these last couple of years. They think that Trump and MAGA is going to come and save them. It's not. That's not the case at all. His job, I believe anyways, was to wake people up. And when people are awake, they start asking questions. And when people start asking questions, they find this kind of stuff. And then it leads them to gold, hard assets, Bitcoin. And again, Bitcoin is the tool for the job. Bitcoin is the tool for the job. And so nobody's coming to save anybody here. And that's not what I'm trying to portray with this. I'm just saying, why would you take shit from the Federal Reserve, who you owe $39 trillion to? And think about it this way too. It's like, he's not a dummy. Okay, so let's keep going down here. Go back to the nationalists, the globalists. Think about this from a very logical perception here. So this is the deception, the illusion, the theft, the Ponzi king. Oh, sorry. When this was made, it was only $37 trillion. Now it's 39. A couple months later. So you got a couple different Ponzi's here. You got Charles Ponzi in 1920. You got away with 20 million bucks. And then you had Bernie Madoff, 2008. He got away with 65 billion. Not bad, Bernie. But the Federal Reserve, they somehow soaked up 37 trillion. It's actually hilarious. It's actually hilarious to me. So rigged by the banks. We know Jekyll Island, 1910. That's where they created the fractional reserve, the Federal Reserve, steal from the working class. They skim off 20%. So again, all they've done is just extract wealth. They've added no value. They've just extracted it from people like me and you for the last 100 years. So it just keeps going on and on and on and on. And there's tons of this stuff. And so I want to get to the last part here, which is, there's these different indexes here for ground beef, the CPI, everybody knows the Brent index, 31 times up, ground beef's 48 times up, tomato soup index is 17 times up, probably even more than that, honestly. And I want to compare these two here. So you can kind of see all this stuff here. There's a lot. This is only page 24 out of 44. So I want to find the one right here. So again, what is money? People hear, well, the US is going to create a new dollar. It's going to be like the last one fake. No, not all money is created equally. And so this is what this is. This is the comparison. So it says variable supply. This is kind of like what makes a good money right here. The middle parts. And if you're a Bitcoiner, you're kind of familiar with the majority of this stuff. But what makes a good currency? It's a good unit of measure. That's what we talked about right at the start of the show. It's a good medium of exchange. It's a good store of value. It's backed by assets, hard assets. The right of issuance. There's no counterfeit derivatives. And there's no debt or interest involved in it. That's a good money. So on the left here, you have the Fed banking cartel dollar, which has lost 97% over the last 100 years. That's the dollar that we use every day. So on this side, it says, no, there's no fixed supply. It's variable. It changes week to week, depending on what kind of mood Jay Powell's in, or, what the U.S. needs, how much they're sending overseas to do whatever you want, name it, name what they're doing with it. Changes every week. Supply changes. You can't have a unit of measurement, a unit of account if it changes every week. The dividend dollar here, constant supply. Medium exchange, yes, but it's taxed. It's a good medium exchange, but it's taxed. I guess that's what they put in here. It's designed to lose value. It's designed to lose value over time. Asset backed, it's not. It's backed by nothing. It's backed by a promise. The dividend dollar is backed by assets. We talked about them before. The right of issuance, private, secret. The Federal Reserve, believe this or not, has never been audited since its inception. So when you think about it that way, it's like, yeah, everybody kind of thinks we have this idea of how much money there is out there. The M1 supply, that got kind of found out, so they switched it to the M2 supply. Nobody knows. Everybody kind of just trusts those numbers. But as we know as Bitcoiners, you're not supposed to trust anybody. And that's the whole point of Bitcoin, is you don't have to trust anybody. And so that whole thing was since 1913, 113 years, they've never been audited, not once. So whatever numbers we see in terms of money supply, we have no idea how accurate that is. Zero. They've never been audited. It could be double. It could be triple. It could be 100x. They've never been audited. It is private. It is secret. It is bullshit. And so publicly audited. Well, I mean, what currency do we know of that's you can audit it? What currency do we know that you can verify? What currency do we know that has a constant supply? And that currency is the Treasury dividend dollar. That it doesn't lose purchasing power. It actually goes up. So it says a wealth preservation plan gains value every year by its intrinsic dividend, backed by real-world assets, 100% ownership of the money by we the people. So 2025, this is when it began. And they expect by 2039, it's going to be 50% up. And by 2125, that dollar is going to be worth $20. Imagine that. And again, the whole time I've been talking here, I'm not saying that don't take this as gospel, but I just want you to imagine a world where that's possible, because it is. And it's funny, I watched a very popular YouTuber yesterday. I think his name is Asmon Gold or something. He looks pretty grubby. But he posted a clip, and it has like 1 million views already. But they're talking about El Salvador, and it shows we've all seen countries go from a first world country to a third world country. I mean, I would say Canada pretty much. But he said what we haven't seen before is a third world country turn into a first world country. And so he shows all these different clips of like what El Salvador was and what El Salvador is now. And he kind of gives the credit to them taking the criminals off the streets, which was a big part of it for sure. They pretty much cleared out the MS-13 gangs from El Salvador. But the other part of that too is the government started buying Bitcoin. The government started giving its citizens Bitcoin. They made it legal tender in El Salvador. And there's been a ton of people flood in there and investments in there. And so when we think about this stuff, we think that this is never going to happen to us. It can't. But it can, because all you need to have is a currency that's actually backed by something. And that purchasing power should go up over time. And so that's what the dividend dollar is. It doesn't leak. It doesn't lose all of its power. It does the opposite of that. It actually goes up. And you can see here, they actually made a special note to say, hey, no CBDCs here. So the abundance of valuable material possessions or resources, all tangible objects that have economic utility, versus theft. I don't know how to say that word. Felonious? Is that right? Maybe. Taking and removing a personal property with the intent to deprive the rightful owner of it. There it is. So is this what's playing out right now? It would make sense. Again, going back to our nice little spreadsheet that we had here with the Easter eggs, there's a lot of things that point to it. There's a lot of things that are pointing to this right now. We got Andrew Jackson. That's probably the biggest Easter egg. And actually, it was Sin Diesel. Shout out Sin, who called it Easter eggs on yesterday's show. And I figured Easter's next weekend. Be a good way to do this. But Andrew Jackson, the last U.S. president to take down the central banks, Trump had that guy right over his left shoulder, right behind him. In every picture, every signature he wrote, everything, Andrew Jackson was sitting right behind his shoulder. General Flynn tweeting about Bitcoin 2015, Trump's number one guy. Melania tweeting about Satoshi, wishing Satoshi a happy birthday a couple years ago before Trump came out as a Bitcoiner. Brian Brooks, this was Trump's comptroller of currency in his first administration. Brian Brooks, Bitcoiner, spoke at the Bitcoin conference. Trump's surrounded by Bitcoiners. His whole team is made up of Bitcoiners around him. Trump, again, is an agent of chaos. I think he's there to wake people up, and he's doing a pretty damn good job of it. American Bitcoin, Eric Trump's company, they got 7,000 Bitcoin. Trump's company has like, what was it? A lot. American Bitcoin, and I should put and Trump Media in here. So again, if your main role here if we think about it this way, if we think about the globalists versus nationalists, the central bankers versus what do we call this up here? The tech capitalists, whatever you want to call it. We know that Trump's a nationalist. We know that they're tech capitalists. And so wouldn't you want to come up with something to defeat your opponent here, the central bankers and the globalists? That's Bitcoin. That's what Bitcoin is. Space Force, Jason Lowry wrote a book called Soft War, which was very similar to Trump administration's document that they released, the cyber strategy one, almost like a carbon copy of it. John Trump, Trump's uncle, went to MIT, was the most recognized professor at MIT, and MIT has a lot of ties to Bitcoin, but mostly the fact that John Trump, Trump's uncle, got Nikola Tesla's documents after he died. Trump gave a shout out to his uncle John and Energy and MIT, and basically called Bitcoiners the most intelligent people on the planet at the Bitcoin conference. And you had Henry Ford, who said that money backed by gold won't work. And I want to bring that up here quickly. And then you had JFK, who was the last president to try to take down the globalists, the central bankers, with the JFK silver dollar. And unfortunately, he didn't fare quite as well. But it's my kind of theory overall that ever since JFK happened, that's where this other side here, whatever you want to call them, That's where they started. That's really where the war started, in my opinion, because it was the globalists and the central bankers who, pretty well documented, took out JFK. And I think from that moment, that's when this side of the war started getting their shit together a little bit. And I think that Bitcoin is a creation of this side of things. Again, you might say, well, the US government created Bitcoin. Maybe. But what's the US government? Every entity, every government, anything is just made up of people. And there's good people in there and there's bad people. And I really believe that we have more good people, way more good people on this planet than bad people. Okay, what was I looking up there? Oh, I forget now. What were we talking about? Oh, Henry Ford. So this was, again, going back to not only the reason why the US government wouldn't want to back it by gold, although it's on there. But what's this? Oh, well, that's the Titanic. Oops. What's going on here? Oh, no, never mind. Okay. Titanic's related to this? Oh, no. Maybe this is a different thing. It's all related. 1921, Henry Ford proposed replacing the gold standard with an energy currency based on units of power, aiming to eliminate banking control in war. He envisioned a system where $1 would equal a specific amount of energy produced in 1 hour. Like 1921. Imagine that. Henry Ford, probably one of the greatest innovators and thought leaders in human history, comes out with this idea of replacing the gold standard with an energy currency. And then a decade later, that's where they took everybody's gold. They said, you know what? Not only are we going to not do that, Henry Ford, but we're actually going to take everybody's gold. So we have full control over everything. So, and that probably, I mean, number one, it probably wouldn't have worked back then because you couldn't have really measured the energy at that point and been able to transfer it easily from person to person, peer to peer. So it was a great idea by Henry Ford, but it never would have worked. They just didn't have the infrastructure to do it. The other part of that too is that yes, Bitcoin is an energy currency, but it has a unique characteristic of it in the sense of the proof of work involved with it and the difficulty adjustment. Because if you just went off of this Henry Ford's energy currency idea, that would basically mean the more energy you produced, the more units you would have. And the cool thing about Bitcoin is that it doesn't matter how much energy you have or how much technology advances. You cannot create more units of Bitcoin. You cannot create more Satoshis. So the idea was solid from Henry Ford 100 and some years ago, but it wouldn't have held up because they just would have created more and more. And as technology got better, they'd be able to create more energy and that would create more units. And so for a good currency, as we talked about, it has to have a fixed supply of it. And that's what the Bitcoin difficulty adjustment does. So what Bitcoin basically is Henry Ford's idea from 1921, plus a couple other key components, including the difficulty adjustment, the proof of work aspect of it. And that's what Bitcoin is. So you follow the stuff. You follow Henry Ford, you follow JFK, you follow Tesla, you follow Elon. Elon's grandpa was actually, what was he? What do we call him, Sin? A tech utopian? Yeah, 1921. Everyone saw that. Good call, Sin. Elon Musk's grandfather was a tech utopian. Look him up. It's actually extremely interesting, the story behind Elon's grandpa. So you have this side, and that's who I'm calling here, the tech utopians. The nationalists, the tech utopians. Again, Henry Ford, Nikola Tesla, Elon Musk's grandpa, all these guys. And that's who they're fighting against. So wouldn't it make sense that they would have this thing? They would maybe come out with a new currency that's backed by something that the globalists cannot control, that the globalists do not have a bunch of. Wouldn't it make sense? It would to me. And that's why I wanted to share this with everybody today. So again, just in case there's people who have just shown up to the party here, cheers. I see BTC Backpacker in the house. Actually, I started the show today, Backpacker, with giving a cheers to Fanny for another Saturday, another shaft. So that's my prediction. On March 28th, 2026, I said the U.S. government will have a new dollar by the end of the year. The U.S. Treasury dollar, the dividend dollar. Makes sense. 250th anniversary. The easiest way for the nationalists and the tech capitalists to get around this system is Bitcoin. It's not gold. It's not silver. It's not anything else. It's Bitcoin. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear when you look at all the Easter eggs and how everything's kind of came to be. And so that's I think the majority of my presentation today. So I want to check on Nostr first. I'm sorry, Nostr. I haven't had a chance to look at all. And it's beautiful here today. So I'm gonna take an Arnie boy for a walk here in a second. Beautiful day, beautiful Saturday. All right, let's close that. Sorry, Nostr. Oh, look at that. We got a couple zaps here. DCA from Duncan. Thank you, Duncan. My Path to Fire's over there. We got Rocket Rod. There he is. Said, I'm here, brother. Haven't been able to catch many streams lately. It's nice catching you live. Good to see you, Rocket Rod. And yeah, by the way, we made some changes to the show as of late, and we're still doing live shows. Again, we did 400 episodes of the Daily Bitcoin Journey all on YouTube, and then we kind of switched a little bit. And so if you want to start coming to the shows again, this is the kind of stuff we talk about. It's a little bit out there. Some of it's not really made for where we're talking about it today. But if you're interested, you can come by every morning, Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We got some great people in there, including My Path to Fire, including Sin Diesel, including BTC Backpacker, Matt FRL, and of course, our guy, Duncan. Strange Love says, in this case, Iran is ready for the U.S. They have been for years. Yeah. You just got to think differently, I guess. That's kind of the point of today's show, is you just got to think a little bit differently. You don't want to be a victim of falling for just the latest thing every day. Anton, good to see you, my friend. Ian says, that's a big commitment. I congratulate you on that. I mean, we're almost at 500. I think next week we're going to hit our 500 stream, because we've done 92 episodes of the new version of it, and we did 400 episodes of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. So we're almost at 500. Londo says, take your beautiful pup for a walk. Yeah, I'm going to. Right after this. I want to share this info, though, I wanted to get it out there. I want to put it out there in the world. Adam's here. Adam and Lori, sweating, smiling together. Good morning, Brett. Londo. Look at this. Jerry says, just uploaded my latest Satoshi Saturday. Then I turned on your stream and I see that you're giving me a shout out. I appreciate that. No worries, Jerry. No worries, buddy. Nav says, pre-recorded, Jor can't be live on a Sunday. Oh, thought wrong, my friend. I mean, this is just, I tried my best to kind of keep this narrative and thought out of it. The one thing I'd say, though, because this is a valid thing. It's like, okay, why would we have any sort of trust in Trump if he's a pedophile? First of all, I would say my response to that would be, number one, I'm not claiming Trump's a good or a bad guy. I'm claiming that he is obviously a nationalist trying to take out the globalists. Number two, have we actually seen any evidence that these guys were hanging out together and that Trump did anything wrong in that sense? Or are you just kind of going off of what the media and the whole Democrat bozo crew has to say about things? And number three, if you actually look into the history between Trump and Epstein, Trump kicked Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club pretty early on, like in the early 90s. So to me, that would suggest that Trump, he's getting friendly with everybody at that time. He's a businessman in New York City. And a guy like Epstein comes along and he's trying to, I don't think it's just a conversation where they say, hey, I'm Jeffrey Epstein. I traffic women. Do you want to come and hang out with me? He was greasy about it. Like, that's how he did his whole thing. He tricked people into doing the things that they did. And so to me, if you actually look at the document, you could even ask AI this, they'll tell you. Trump, as soon as he learned about what Epstein was doing, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. And that was kind of like the last interactions they had. So I'm not going to defend him. I'm not claiming Trump's a perfect guy at all. I'm not even saying he's a good guy. I'm saying from an objective lens here, Trump's a nationalist. The central bankers are globalists. Those two systems are clearly at war right now. Are you worried that in 5 years in Bitcoin has essentially gone up zero for some people? I don't think that's the case at all. I don't know what math you're looking at, but if you would have bought $10 worth of Bitcoin every week for the last 5 years, you would be up significantly. That's just how Bitcoin is. And if the fact that you're saying has gone up, you're still comparing it to these dollars that have zero value, zero cost of production, and are complete illusion. It's like comparing apples to airplanes. The majority of people are still just stuck in that system, which is why we still measure things in US dollars, but it's just a facade. It's a complete illusion. And that's what we just spent an hour and a half talking about here today. So I'm not worried about that at all. Must be pre-recorded. Nope. BitDollar, yeah, something like that. Groundwave says, sorry if this is totally random, but do you have a video on how exactly your hack happened? I talked about it last week on the daily shows. A currency unit backed by universal physical principles. Yeah, could you imagine? Could you imagine? That's what we're talking about today. Bitcoin nurse, you're 100% right. Jesus shut it down. The money changers. Apparently the only time that he ever got mad was at the money changers. And you can't blame him. You cannot blame him. Ship the Fed to space. Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Ship the Fed to space. Love that. Ecom liked the intro today. Nice. Yeah, I love that one. We start the show every day with that. Somebody sent in 5,000 sats and said cheers. Who is that? Letha? That seems like a Letha thing to do. Shout out to Duncan over on Noster for the nice zap today, and Matt FRL and Bitcoin Golf Pro. Thank you, fellas. This show here, and Sin. Sorry, I missed Sin. 18 and 45. But this show, again, we do every morning, and we got no sponsors because I believe that I should be able to talk about whatever I want to talk about without worrying about what my sponsors think about it. So my whole thing here is that I want to speak the truth, whatever that may be to me, and not have to worry about censoring myself and what my sponsor thinks of it. And so this whole thing is run by the community. People like Sin, people like Duncan, people like Bitcoin Golf Pro, people like Matt FRL, people like Letha, Jenny, Sats and Sunsets, Jerry. So, and of course, Praetorian. I miss Praetorian and Josh, the boys. A lot of people. BTC Backpacker, Brett, another one who supports. So I guess if you do have any, if you enjoyed the show today and you want to give a little bit back, you can either scan that. That's Arnie's wallet right there. Or you can send to, or you can just hit a thumbs up too. That works. It doesn't really mean anything. It's kind of like the Federal Reserve, kind of meaningless. But if you want to send real value, real energy over, you can send it to my Rizful, which is somewhere here. I think I missed it. jor@rizful.com, right here. Great prediction, Ian says. The great innovators, yes. She'll be very excited. Yeah, it was like the first 5 minutes, Backpacker. First 5 minutes of the show. Bitcoin and mindset are extremely important to go hand in hand. It's so important to bridge that gap to our personal life, 100%. If you're spending fiat on a daily basis, you, sir, are using a pedollar. So there's that. Spending a pedo dollar. There's never been a bigger Ponzi, disgusting things that have happened through that dollar. Exactly. So isn't the hypocrisy just off the charts? Off the charts. Off the charts. Look at that. Backpacker got a cold card queue. Good man. How much is the tariffs? You probably won't see the tariffs for a couple months now. And look at that. Solar Satoshi's also says he's an 88 sats shareholder. That's a good way to put it. That's how people should feel about it, because that's essentially, and that's the cool thing too, is like eventually this is going to come full circle. We're going to build some really, really cool things. We've already kind of have, and I can't take much credit for it. But there was a guy in the community who actually spent the last couple of years building a company and a product that's going to reshape the entire way we think about Bitcoin custody. And it's going to be launched in the next couple months. And the members of the community, like Solar, like Sin, they get first access to it. They're going to be the ones who get the pre-sale price. He's actually announcing it at Prague, BTC Prague. It's kind of like the cold card. It's a device kind of like this, except it's about 100 times better somehow. A little bit biased myself, but that's what it is. And it's not meant to replace this either. It's meant to enhance it, make your security way more robust, not only just your security, but your inheritance planning. It's like a James Bond machine. So if you're interested, just shoot me an email. I can give you some info about it. Unfortunately, I can't really talk too much about it yet or show you too much about it, but I think he's sold over 10 units already to people within the community. It is absolutely incredible. And like I said, it's getting launched at BTC Prague in a couple months in June, I believe. So if you want more information on it, you can set up a call with me and him, and we can show you the device. You can see how it works into your inheritance, how it infinitely increases your security around Bitcoin. And that's going to be rolled out in June. And we got, speaking of 88 Sats shareholders here, we got Joshua, the man himself, the king at the top, the #1 spot. He said, Luxter, meow twice for a Saturday zap, eh? Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you, buddy. My phone's about to die here. I got 2%. Oh, just saved her. Okay, I'm going to finish this off, and then we're going to call her a day here. I'm not going to lie. I put a little bit too much Irish cream in it, and it's a little sweet and creamy for me. Not the shaft you're looking for. Not the shaft you're looking for. Sin says 88 Sats, a damn good store of value. Amen to that. 285 says Backpacker. I mean, that's what, Backpacker said, so it's meant to go tandem with the cold card. Yes. It's exactly what it is. And so why it works, and that's kind of, you see this little hat behind me here. I've been talking about this for a while now, 21 Sats. But the idea of this was to basically, the reason why this came to be is because even if you have a cold card, right? Like a lot of people watching the show would have a cold card or a tangent. No, not a tangent. Yikes. Why did I say tangent? I think it's because you type tandem there, Backpacker. Or a Treasury or a Ledger or something like that. And that's great. Like, this is a very, very, very secure product. It has 2 secure elements back there, which means if somebody tried to pry this open, it would just brick itself. It's encrypted. You need a PIN code to access it. If you have the wrong PIN code 13 times, it bricks itself. Very, very solid device. All offline. You don't have to worry about getting hacked or somebody, connecting to you that way. But the main problem with it is that it requires backup. Whenever you set it up, you generate the private key and you get 12 words or you get 24 words, and you have to write that somewhere. You have to write it on paper. Some people put it on steel. But the whole problem with that is that it's in plain text, which means this could be as bulletproof as you want it to be. But if somebody just happens to stumble across your 12 words or your 24 words on paper or on steel, they now have your Bitcoin. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're now a co-owner of your Bitcoin with you. And within about 5 minutes, they would be the sole owner of that Bitcoin, and you would be a 0% owner of that Bitcoin. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. You don't have to leave anything at your house. You can basically go fully away from your house. And I think a lot of Bitcoiners are going to be looking for that in the future, where you don't have to keep anything at your house. You can kind of geographically disperse it. You can set it up with a single sig or a multi-sig. But this device kind of just captures all the information. It has all the inheritance stuff. It requires like 2 or 3 keys, like James Bond shit, to open it. It's all offline. It's all open source code. You don't have to put in your name or your email address or anything to buy it. It's fully non-KYC. It's the real deal. And I'm going to have more information about it coming out soon here. We did a presentation on Thursday about it 2 days ago. The very first one, it was like Steve Jobs doing the iPhone. So that's what it's meant to be. It's supposed to, it protects your backups. It gives your family an inheritance plan built into it and shows kind of where everything is. It is amazing. Amazing. And like I said, it's going to be launched at BTC Prague in June. So if you're interested in learning more, you can set up a call with me and the guy and Craig, and we can chat about it. You can get he's got a pretty good offer on it for the people in the community, just to kind of be the first batch. But they're ordered, they're coming, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm very proud to support that because, like I said, I've been working with Craig on 21 Sats now for a couple years. We've helped a lot of people basically get their private keys off of paper, off of steel, and fully encrypted. So that's kind of the idea of it, is that you have this encrypted, and then you also have your backup, your 12, 24 words, plus everything else. Like, you can literally put anything on there. There's banking information. If you have any cryptos, if you have safety deposit box, basically anything, any information you want to pass down to your kids that you don't want to have online or on paper, because paper can burn. So that's kind of what the whole thing does. It encrypts everything that you need to know about your digital life, digital assets, Bitcoin, passwords, anything. It's all within this device. So like I said, it's about 10x better, 100x better probably. It's a little bit more expensive than this, but it's I think a lot of people are going to be customers of it in the future. Yeah, Sin got to look at it. Sin got a sneak peek. So yeah, if you're watching this live, shoot me an email. We can set up a call. No pressure at all. Craig and I are the worst salesmen on the planet. We don't try to push anything on you, and a lot of people here would attest to that. It's just, if you need it, you can get it. Straight up. Very interesting. It's beyond. I think it's going to be revolutionary. You guys will remember hearing about this, and then this time next year, you'll be like, "Oh, the Citadel Vault. I've heard about that." Wait, is that what Jor was talking about back in March 2026? Yes. That's exactly it. And yeah, I agree. And I'm a big fan. I got like 3 or 4 of these cold card queues. One of them here, and the rest are somewhere out there. Somewhere out there. Okay, was there anything else that I need to do here today? I can hear Arnie whining in the background, which is putting a little bit of heat on me. Oh, let's see this. I don't know how many people are here care about this too much, but I wanted to share this because somebody in the community, speaking of the community, sent me this yesterday. And I want guys like Josh and Duncan and Sin and Ian to let me know what you think about this. Potential new intro for 88 Sats. But I don't know. I'll have a hard time replacing Alex Jones, but check this out. Hello out there. We're on the air. Can you hear that? I couldn't really hear that. I'm going to have to download it. Hello out there. I can't hear it. Damn it. But it's basically like some static. I'll play it on the show on Monday for the people who care. But it's kind of like static, and then it says hello out there, and then the things light up. It's like you can kind of see it tuning itself to try to find 88.8. And then it says, comes in and says, hello out there. So this is actually from Rich, one of the members in the Visionaries community. He created this and sent it to me yesterday. So I'll play that on Monday for the people who care. But I wanted to show that off. Pretty cool. And if you are just joining us today, I wanted to show off my new channel here too. Look at that nice new logo. It looks kind of the same, except it's improved, new and improved. But our nice backdrop here, our banner image, has been changed. You can still kind of see the tree line there in the background. That's my view out the window here. And then we got a nice 88 Sats radio there. And it's been updated. Now it's just 88 Sats. We dropped the radio. So that's that. Oh, you guys could hear it? Okay. Maybe mine's just kind of messing around here. Mastering music, mastering life. Good name. Looks like NWA. Is it NWA with that logo? Said, good day from Australia. Please let me know your email. Oh, I just threw in the thing there. It's just 88 sats at proton.me. Just put, if you or anybody else watching this now or later is interested in getting a sneak peek, he's only doing, he's doing an intro price for the first 21 customers. And I believe 10 of them are already sold. So you get a pretty good discount on it. And you get, obviously you can set up a call, zero risk, zero pressure at all. But you can just put Citadel Vault in the subject line for that. What's the story behind the name? Well, that's a whole nother ball game. Oh, yeah, you guys heard it. Cool. Yeah, I like that too. I thought it was really cool because he basically, it was funny because on the show yesterday, I was all proud of this logo that I had generated, and Rich was like, "That's slop." So then he sent me this that thing that I just sent there. I wish I could have heard it too because I wanted to. I like that. So I'll have to figure out a way to work it in with Alex Jones there because I don't want to. Alex Jones gets me going in the morning with that intro. But yeah, that's a new channel. We got a new handle here. We got a new name. We got a new logo, and we got a new banner image. But yeah, there you go. Breadman says, no to all Americans. I ordered a cold card from Canada, and FedEx sent me a bill a month later, $65 for customs. Yeah, we've been hearing a lot of that. But, you know, honestly, in my opinion, I would say it's worth it. Like, really. It's kind of the same with anything right now. It's like, it's impossible for me to put a value and a price on my services that I provide. Because like, what's the cost? What's the value of it? If a video I post or a course that I post or a meeting that you and I have, a one-on-one call, if that's the difference, even if it's just like one part of it, the difference between you and your family having your Bitcoin in 20 years and not having it, how do you put a price on that? I don't know. And it's like, even the cold card, it's like, yeah, it's $250 plus $65 to secure it. But like, how do you put a price on that? You can pay for it in fiat dollars that they create out of nothing. And you're protecting the hardest asset, the best money in human history. It's our view of the world still. And it kind of sucks to be in the middle of that transition and having to, explain why my hourly price is this or why this device costs this much, but it's truly invaluable, and why the community costs money. So it's just a sign of the times, Yeah, it is. Agree. 100%. And kind of, I've been very consistent with this for the last couple of years. I said, you should dedicate at least 5% of your Bitcoin stack to your security, at least as a starting point. So if you have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin today, you should have a cold card, which is like what, 10 million sats? If you have a couple million sats, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit on this too, because I just feel like anything online, including your private keys, if you got a hot wallet on your phone or on your laptop, they're gone. Just give it a couple weeks, your Bitcoin's going to be gone. That's how fast technology is moving right now. And I was a victim of myself last week. I had a bunch of sats on a Lightning wallet online. 4 or 5 of them got hacked, and I lost a lot of Bitcoin. But again, it was like 1% of my stack because the majority of my stuff is offline and distributed far away from this house. So it's just the reality, though, of where we are today. So, I mean, I would say if you have any amount and you're kind of buying and you're into Bitcoin right now, get one of these. Like, minimum, get one of these. And I'll share a link just in case there's anybody out there, because I think you save like $5 using my link. It would make up for the $60 you got to pay in duties. And I'm also getting a link to the foundation. So if you're an American, I'm hoping to have that link next week for the new Prime that they have. So I'll put that in the show notes as well. And I got Jerry's channel in there. Cold card. But yeah, plus since it's Bitcoin, you get those sats back in the future. So eventually the cold card queue will be free. Exactly. Then eventually you will be paid to buy it. Sin gets it. There's a man who understands what's going on here. A member of the Visionaries, a member of the Maple Bitcoin community. He is the man. Okay, just making sure I didn't miss anything here. Oh yeah, I hear Arnie Boy whining, so I got to go. Fun though. It's fun hanging with you on a Saturday. As we take the last sip of our shaft. Okay, so yeah, there's the email if you're interested in that new device I was talking about. No pressure at all. You don't have to pay anything. We'll just chat with you and give a breakdown of what it is. It's not available yet to the public. It's going to be released at BTC Prague. He's doing a full presentation on it. It is absolutely revolutionary. It's going to change Bitcoin and the way people store their Bitcoin and all their digital assets. And it's actually pretty inexpensive, all things considered. I think it should be probably 10x what it is. And so I think the first 21 members, you got to be, you got to know. If you know, you know. But you got to be one of the first 21 customers, and you get a pretty good discount on it too. So that's where you can email if you're interested. Just put Citadel Vault, and I'll send you some information on it. Do not hesitate to ask any questions. That's right. Well, we got to go. Thanks, Camille. Thanks, Backpacker. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you all showing up on a Saturday here, hanging with me. Big shout out to Joshua, as usual. Big shout out to Duncan, Matt FRL, and the Bitcoin Golf Pro, and everybody over in Noster. I feel really bad right now. I just realized something here. I realized that I didn't see any of these Rumble chats. Because I did it on the studio, and they don't pull through here. Whew, that's awkward. Sorry, Mika. Sorry, Brian. Sorry, Bitcoin Nurse. Sorry, Jenny. Sorry, Rich. Sorry, Crystal. Sorry, Joshua. Sorry, Camille. Sorry, Sin. I'm sorry. Every day I do the show here, I have it on Rumble and Rumble Premium because I don't put it on YouTube. So all the messages from Rumble pull through to my StreamYard. And so I was kind of used to that. And I completely forgot about, I just thought nobody was on Rumble today. But that was wrong. Hold on. I can't leave my people out to dry here like this. I just want to see if there's anything I missed before we go. Crystal says gold and silver backed dollar. No, unfortunately for non-Bitcoiners, it'll be backed by Bitcoin. Makes the most sense. Okay. Camille's there said he'd rather zap. I don't know what that was about. Sin said I tried to rig the viewing numbers for the Maple Boys. So Sin was on Noster, on Rumble, and on YouTube, bumping up the numbers there. Good man. That's what it's all about. Mika said, Jor, I want to send a deposit for one of Craig's devices. Should I email you at 88 sats? Yes. Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you're interested, I wouldn't wait. Like I said, the first 21, I get the discount and a little bit more too. I think you actually get a one-on-one call for an hour with Craig or me or one of the other guys with us, Daniel or Alex. But sorry, Camille, I missed that one. So yeah, just shoot me an email for Mika, for anybody out there. What was that other one here? Timeless something? Or was that? Mastering music. And we might even need I shouldn't say we. Craig might need a distributor. He's going to be looking for distributors in different parts of the world just to save on tariffs and shit like that. So I think it's going to be as big as this little device here. Everybody knows the cold card. Everybody's going to know the Citadel Vault in about a year from now. Okay. So again, sorry, Rumble. I'm sorry. And it's bad because I tell everybody they should be using Rumble instead of YouTube. And then I go and just completely ignore them for, you know what? I was doing that for an hour and a half anyway, so I don't feel too bad. But I do apologize, Rumble. All my friends over on Rumble. Okay, let's get out of here. So have a great Saturday, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the love and support. And again, you can find us every morning, Monday to Friday, if you're into this kind of conversation. A little bit different than what you see on X and the mainstream, and a lot of YouTube channels don't talk about this stuff. So that's what it is. So enjoy yourself today. Keep stacking Bitcoin. If the US dollar ends up being backed by Bitcoin, I think we're all going to need our own personal security guards based on how much those sats are going to be worth. So in the meantime, get them offline, get anything that's of relevance and importance to you offline into something like a cold card or the Citadel Vault or whatever that may be. Just get it the hell offline, because everything's going to be gone in, not in years, in months from now. I'm telling you. So we'll talk to you, everybody, soon. And to the visionaries and the 88 Sats crew out there, we'll see you on Monday morning. Bye-bye.